Welcome to the Bite Size Brilliance Podcast. I'm your host, April Darley, and today we're going to talk about my phrase of the year. It means what you think it means. So, what the heck does that mean? Let's jump into it. Have you ever had something happen in your life where you get a text message and you're like, what does that mean? You just weren't sure. And so our brain sort of fills in the details of what we think something means. And if you're coming from a place of low confidence or low self esteem, it's going to fill it in often with the worst things possible, that you are lazy, that you are unworthy, that there must be something wrong with you, or it must be all your fault. And if only you had done or said something different, then things would be all better. Has that ever happened to you, my friends? Because it has certainly happened to me. And before I learned how to make mindset shifts, it I would spend hours like spiraling in that place of it's me. It's literally just me. So I had this aha moment towards the end of last year where again, I think of sometimes these thoughts are like runaway trains and these thoughts are intrusive and they your brain just takes them and runs with them like a runaway train, a speeding train. And that train could get miles down the track before we go, wait a minute. I mean, I do this for a living and I still get caught sometimes by the runaway train. And as soon as I catch it, I replace the thought. But sometimes that train has run many miles, my friends, before I'm able to go, wait a minute. That is not what I want to say to myself and reverse it. So here's to give you a few examples. If you asked someone out on a date and they said no, then that's going to mean what you make it mean. If you make it mean there must be something wrong with me, I'm ugly, I'm worthless, then your brain and body will react accordingly. You can also make that mean, okay, well, you know what? We just weren't a right fit. Next. Thank you, next. And your brain and your body would have a different emotional reaction to that. It will mean what you make it mean. Or another example, if you're struggling financially and you're having a little bit of trouble paying your bills, that will mean what you make it mean. It could mean, I'm never going to get ahead in life. I'm going to be poor forever. Life is just a struggle and I hate it. Or it could mean something completely different, that things are tough right now, but I have the ability to shift and change. That's it. This is temporary. You could also make it mean that. And I could keep going on and on with the examples, but that phrase, it will mean whatever you make it mean. And it really goes back to the strength of our thoughts. So if I were going to design a flow chart for you, and I'm not sure if you've heard me say this before, if you're familiar with my blogs or if you're on my newsletter, but I refer often to your subconscious as being highly programmable. It will believe whatever you tell it, right or wrong, good or bad. It's just waiting for you to give it instructions on what to think or believe. So that thought and a thought you continue to think. So, for example, I'm not worthy. There's something wrong with me. If you continue to think that thought on a cycle, you will program your subconscious for that belief. And those thoughts and beliefs together will elicit an emotional reaction. That emotional reaction might be depression, anger, it might be self loathing, anxiety, but you have programmed that emotional response because of the power of your thoughts, which then formed a belief, which then formed emotion. And then it all circles back around on itself, just like one of those circular arrow charts that you see in graphics. So it can be a vicious cycle. And the way you stop that runaway train is to replace that thought. And as soon as you catch that runaway train, as soon as you catch yourself thinking a thought that doesn't make you feel very good, immediately stop it. And I double down on this a little bit. Sometimes I will do a physical motion, like a sweeping downward motion, like I'm cutting that thought off. Or I know some people will tap on their forehead like they're ejecting a videotape, or they'll snap their fingers, or they will tap themselves in some way, give themselves a little jolt. And that's what's called a pattern interrupter. And because that's what we're trying to do, we're trying to interrupt the pattern, that runaway train of negative thoughts, because those negative thoughts are creating negative beliefs, which create emotions that don't make us feel very good. So, catching the thought is crucial to your everyday happiness and replacing that thought. So, we want to catch that thought when you are thinking, it must be me, and replace that. Sometimes I will even say the phrase cancel, clear, delete, just like was a computer, because our brains have programming just like computers do. So I will often do a downward sweeping motion like I'm cutting that cord, cancel, clear, delete, and then I replace that thought with something I would prefer instead. So for example, if I asked someone out and they said no, instead of making it all about me, there must be something wrong with me, I would go, you know what? They just weren't the right person for me, but I am a great match to someone out there. There are many fish in the sea. I haven't even begun to meet all the people who are going to love me yet. And if you say and replace that negative thought with 3 to 5 positive thoughts, they can be affirmations or things you want to be true, then that is creating yourself a new cycle. So you are nudging yourself out of that. You're jumping off the runaway train. Basically, you're nudging yourself out of that downward spiral cycle and you're spiraling upward instead. So it's more of a hope cycle instead of a stuck cycle. And that's it. That is how you begin to replace thoughts. And it's how you begin to feel better, is by combining that concept of it's going to mean what I make it mean. I have the power to change it. I have the power to make it mean something else. I am programming my very existence, my very reality right now, just like a computer programmer. I am programming it to feel good or to feel bad, to feel expansive or limited. It is all me, and I am powerful. And so are you, my friends. You are powerful, and you can create a new reality for yourself any moment, any given time. And it starts by being consistent with quality thoughts. You get to curate your experience and you get to curate your thoughts. We can't always control what happens out in the world or external circumstances, but we can control what we think about it, what we make it mean. And by controlling how we think, we can control how we feel and what we believe. And we can create a better existence for ourselves by doing that one thing: think better thoughts consistently. All right, my friends, until next time, I would love it if you have enjoyed these bite sized, brilliant mindset tips, tricks, and inspiration. Leave me a review or send me an email at april@aprildarley.com if there's some topic that you would love for me to cover, because I want to serve you by letting you know what you want to know. Okay. Until next time, goodbye.